In the earlier video, we introduced the merge sort. The merge sort divides the items into two halves, and then merges them in order. The heavy lifting is in the merge process. The quicksort works in the reverse order. It does the heavy lifting first, and then divides. The quicksort partitions the items into two parts. It picks a random pivot, then places smaller items to its left, and larger items to its right. The items on either side of the pivot are not necessarily in their final position, but the pivot is. Repeat the process with the items on its left, and then repeat the process with the items on its right. Here's the pseudocode for the quicksort function. We partition the list into two parts, then make the recursive call with each part. And this is the base case that stops the recursion. The partitioning process is where the real work is. So let's take a look. The pivot can be any item in the list. We will select the first item to be the pivot. The left index starts from the second item and scans to the right until it finds an item larger than the pivot. Otherwise it stops with the last item. The right index starts from the last index and scans to the left until it finds an item smaller than the pivot. Otherwise it stops with the second item. When the left index has found a larger item than the pivot, and the right index has found a smaller item than the pivot, the two items are swapped. This happens only if the two indices have not crossed each other. Here the left index and the right index have crossed. In this case, the pivot item and the right index item are swapped. This places the pivot in its final position. All items on its left are smaller, and all items on its right are larger. The partition process is complete for this pivot. Here's the pseudocode for the partition function. There are two inner loops. This moves the left index to the right, and this moves the right index to the left. When the inner loop's complete, the conditional is used to exit the loop or swap items. When the outer loop completes, the pivot item is placed in its final position. Finally, here's the implementation. Feel free to pause the video to study the code.